Video 3.2 Role-Based Access Control in Azure. In this video, we will cover the following topics. What are role assignments in Azure? What are Azure role definitions, built-in roles, and custom roles? What are Azure policies and policy definitions? What are Azure lock resources? And what are Azure management groups? Tech organizations contain many employees along with different teams like developers, testers, etc. Let us assume that one such tech organization is using the cloud services provided by Azure. It is not a good idea to give access to everything for all the teams or employees because each team or employee's function may be different. We can provide each team or individuals with different permissions, like managing what they can do with various Azure resources, who has access to which Azure resources, and what level of access they have. Azure Role-Based Access Control (RBAC) can help you provide granular permissions to all the organization's members and groups to perform their jobs. But how can you give those permissions? This is accomplished by creating role assignments. Role assignment is the way you can control access to Azure resources. A role assignment consists of a security principal, scope, and role definition. A security principal is an object representing the identities that are requesting access to Azure resources. The security principal says about who can have access to the resources. Furthermore, we have the following classifications. User is an individual having a profile in Azure Active Directory. Group is a set of users created in the Azure Active Directory. When a role is assigned to a group, all the users in the group will have that role. The service principal is a security identity used by applications or services to access specific Azure resources. It is simply a service that can have access. Managed identity is an identity in Azure Active Directory that is automatically managed by Azure. A scope is the set of resources to which the role assignment will grant access. It refers to the level at which you can give access. A scope can be specified at different levels like management group, subscription, resource group, or resource. The child scope can inherit the permissions of the parent scope. A role definition or role is a collection of permissions. It refers to what you can do, like read, write, or delete. Roles can be defined at a high level, like an owner, or specific, like a virtual machine reader. Azure has two kinds of roles, built-in roles and custom roles. The four fundamental built-in roles are: Owner has complete access to all the resources along with the right to provide access to others. Contributor has access to everything except granting access to others. Reader has access only to view the resources but cannot make any changes. User Access Administrator has access to read and to give permission to other users. There are many other built-in roles, and they allow the management of specific Azure resources. You can define custom roles when built-in roles cannot satisfy your requirements. Custom roles can be assigned to the users, groups, and service principles at the management group, subscription, and resource group scopes. Azure Policy is a service with which you can create, assign, and manage policies. A policy is a set of rules which are applied to control the properties of a resource. Unlike RBAC, Azure Policy doesn't restrict actions. It ensures that everything is compliant to the business rules. RBAC grants permissions to users or groups. RBAC can be used when you need to control actions. Even when a user has permission to access something, but if the action is non-compliant, then Azure Policy blocks that user from performing that action. The policy definition is the building block of Azure Policy. Azure Policy evaluates resources in Azure by comparing the properties of those resources to business rules. Policy definitions are these business rules which are described in JSON format. Assume that you are a part of the developer team and all the users in this team are granted the same permissions. You want to delete a VM you are no longer using, but unfortunately, you deleted some other VM created by another user in your team. These kinds of situations can be prevented with resource locks. Resource locks help you to prevent unexpected deletion or modification of Azure resources. Subscription, resource group, or resources can also be locked. In the Azure portal, you can set delete and read-only lock levels. Delete lock level doesn't allow anyone to delete the resource, but it can still be read and modified by authorized users. Read-only lock level doesn't allow anyone to delete or update the resource, but authorized users can read it. Suppose all the employees in your organization have Azure subscriptions or Azure accounts. And if you want to manage all the subscriptions consistently by applying Azure policies or RBAC across all of your subscriptions, then you keep them in an Azure management group. With management groups, you can manage multiple subscriptions in a hierarchical structure. Here we have a root management group under which you can create various management groups. Child management groups, subscriptions can also be created. Azure Policy or RBAC applied to a parent group will be inherited to all its child groups or subscriptions. In summary, in this video, we have covered the following topics. What are role assignments in Azure? What are Azure role definitions, built-in roles, and custom roles? What are Azure policies and policy definitions? What are Azure lock resources? What are Azure management groups? In the next video, we will take a look at the cost management using Azure budgets.